We're speaking to you from the Citadel Motel here in Hazard on top of the mountain, and with us, of course, is Boots Randolph, and home is Nashville, Tennessee. Is that right, Boots?
Yeah, that's right.
How long have you lived in Nashville?
Oh, about pretty close to 30 years. I think we moved there in 1961, and before that I lived in Evansville, Indiana, where I've been working in a nightclub, and got involved in the Nashville scene through Chet Atkins and some other friends, Lowen Bradley and such, and so that was back around 57, 58, and so I decided I'd move and become part of that permanent scene, so I have been.
Well, let's tell the folks, Boots, what your being in Hazard is all about. Tell us what you're here for.
Well, my good friend, Mr. L.D. Gorman, is one a big day for him. His daughter's getting married today, and I think probably it's quite an affair for Hazard, Kentucky. So Boss Hogg is throwing a big party. I'm just kidding you, LD. I didn't mean that seriously.
How did you get to know LD, I wonder?
Well, once again, my golfing has brought me to a lot of things, and that's part of my, I guess part of my life is a big part of my life is playing golf tournaments and stuff like that. And I guess I met LD at a golf tournament, probably the Bogey Busters up in Ohio, and some friends of mine that put that on. And I guess, I don't know, about 10 years I've known LD now, I suppose.
Have you got your complete band with you? Now, you're going to actually, let me tell the folks this, that we're in Boots' room here at the Citadel. In just a few minutes, he's going to make his way over to LD's home just across the way where the reception, the wedding is going on right now, I understand, right. And there will be the reception, and quite a few people apparently have been invited, and you're going to perform or play the music while that's going on, correct?
Well, now, you mentioned the bigger band. Now, I have a nightclub in Nashville, right. And I have to work there tonight, so we were a little at odds to say, well, what should we bring up here to play? And I told LD, I said, it's just impossible for me to put the whole band together and bring them all up here. I said, I might be able to put my rhythm section on a plane or something. So he sent a chartered plane down for us and picked us up about noon. And we've been here a couple of hours just sort of resting and watching the golf tournament on TV, and thought we'd go over in a few minutes and play for about an hour or so, and then I'll have to go crawl on the plane and go back home and work tonight. Cause
you got to be back in Nashville to perform. Yeah. What's the name of your club there in Nashville?
It's just Boots Randolph's Club.
And it's on Printer's Alley?
On Printer's Alley, down in the downtown area of Nashville.
Question comes to mind, a television show, The Benny Hill Show. Are you familiar with that? I'm sure I heard about it. He uses your, is that your recording? That you
No, that's not my recording. That's my tune, yeah, okay. Yakety Sax. And I didn't know it. Everybody kept telling me, this has been several years back, and finally I got somewhere and I saw the show, and I realized that, they were playing my song, and which makes me very happy. Every time they play it, I'll make a few bucks, I guess.
Every time I hear it, I think of Boots Randolph. I know it was a long time in Nashville. I've heard that before they would, on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry, before they would let a Bob Wills type, maybe drums on the stage. Mm-hmm. Were you the first to come into Nashville and become famous with a horn?
Well, I don't know. I think that question probably poses the two or three things that comes to my mind when I think about it. There really, per se, has never been a horn player, like this, any wind instrument like a trumpet or a trombone or saxophone or that I know, a clarinet, flute maybe. But there's never been anything featured on the Grand Ole Opry. Now I'm talking about the Grand Ole Opry, right, as it originally was and is there in the Grand Ole Opry House with all the broadcasting on WSM and so forth. Now they did some shows back years ago that were taped or filmed, I guess, at that time for about the Grand Ole Opry shows, and I was a part of those. I used to do those quite often. Roy Acuff's always been kind of a funny thing to me. That Roy Acuff's a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years, and Roy said to me one time, he says, well, we've never had a horn tutor on the Grand Ole Opry, but he says, if we ever have one, I want it to be you. And I felt very honored that he thought about me like that, and so I haven't had that privilege yet. So I guess that sort of tells you they still haven't had a horn player on there. The Nashville sound was sort of a intermingling of country and blues and Western swing. It all came together there at a time back in the late 50s and early 60s, and it was called the Nashville Sound. And I was, I guess, a part of that, helped to create that sound, as I became the only horn player along with that group for a long time.
Boots, I know you've got to run, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Welcome to Hazard, and come back and see us.
Well, it sure is a pretty place. This is a beautiful view up here on the top of this mountain. I think I've been in Hazard maybe once before, but I don't get here often, and I'd like to come back. And, of course, I've known LD for a long time, a lot of good friends around this part of the country, but it's really a pretty part of the country, and I love the mountains. I just love them.
Thank you very much for talking with us today.